Hey there, welcome to this acrylic asylum painting lesson. I'm Mike Ferris. I'm going to be getting started on this 8x10 pre-stretched canvas with my image already laid out, as you can see here. And I have down in the description a short video on how I transfer images using wax transfer paper, and also the traceable image if you'd like help with the drawing process, and also the colors and materials that I'll be going over. So now I have my number 11 flat brush to get started with, and for the background, I'm going to have some Phthalo Blue, some yellow medium, some raw umber, Phthalo Green, burnt umber, Cad Orange, and of course titanium white as always. So for the sky, I'm just going to take some of this Phthalo Blue and a little white into this. I'm looking for a very light and vibrant blue color for like a really clear, happy sky kind of a look. Very nice day out. And I'm just going to take it down, and as I get closer to the horizon, I want it to get brighter. And so I'm going to add some more white as I get down in there, and I'll just start down here at the horizon, and as I bring it up, I'm just going to sort of blend it up into that darker value, and this flat brush does a really good job blending up, and I just use very little pressure on my brush as I bring it up into the darker value. Okay, and so now I'm going to take some more Phthalo Blue without white to make it a little darker as I go up on this side, and just kind of bring it together. So now I have my number 4 natural round bristle brush. Those bristles are going to really make it possible to do some cloud effects, and I highly recommend this brush in doing clouds. It works wonders, and you don't even have to be that good really at doing clouds. This brush will really do it for you. So just a little bit of titanium white there, and as you can see, I'm just scrubbing it out, and just like this, it really makes the effect very realistic and is such an awesome brush for this effect. Again, if you don't have a natural round bristle brush, I highly recommend that you get one, or you can use a flat brush and use very light pressure as you bring it out to dust it out into the blue value to make it more realistic. So just adding more titanium white now just to thicken it and to make it more opaque in the middle, and then just kind of bringing these kind of wherever. So you can make this however, and anything you don't like, just take some blue value and you can cover up anything you want to any degree, and really just make these clouds anything you want them to be. So with a little bit of paint left, I'm just going to fade some off as you saw there. And now again, more titanium white, and just applying some heavier pigment, and again, more opaque in some areas and lighter and more transparent in others. And in this way, of course, it makes all of the clouds look more realistic and more like a natural picture. So a little bit of paint left on the brush. I'm just going to go down here on the horizon to brighten it up a little bit, and this just gives a very realistic marine layer look to it. Now I'm going to switch gears and go to my number 2 nylon beat up flat brush here. This is good for making stuff in the distance. So I'm going to take some Phthalo Blue, a little bit of Cad Yellow for some green, and I want to darken this into a dark base army green to start with. I'm going to take some raw umber to that now. And something about this value here, I'm thinking just something kind of general, and right here I just want to use it to create some of this irregularity and show some distant hills and maybe some other island features in the distance across the water that's going to be here. So any way you want to do this, I'm just going to make it I'm not going to come up too far, and just kind of whatever, and just kind of bring it over like so. Okay, no cleaning. I'm going to take some Cad Yellow now and a little bit of titanium white to that. So I really want to add some highlights and show some realistic kind of green sort of hill look to this. Okay, just very subtle, just here and there, not everywhere. I'm not going to cover up all that dark green, and of course I'm going to leave some of it. Okay, so now I've got my number 2 natural flat brush here. I'm going to go on the very edges of this horizon line that I did and put it out of focus by giving a very fuzzy line. So I'm taking that green again, and very, very little paint and a very dry brush. And as you can see, it gives this fuzzy line on the very outside of it, and this is going to give that out of focus sort of distant bokeh look to it. And I'm going to do the same thing with the palm tree as well, and this is all going to really show the background to be this bokeh out of focus look, so that when I do the coconut in the foreground, it's really going to contrast the details of the coconut against the blurred out kind of background that we got going on. And so in this way, it draws the eye in a little bit more, besides light and shadows, to have some elements in this way to contrast in the picture as well, and adds more interest involved and gives it more of a photography kind of look. So just very light, as you can see, it's just fading it out, and now we're starting to see kind of this, like I said, blurry kind of effect going on. Okay, so now it's going to be Phthalo Green and some Phthalo Blue and some Titanium White, going back to my number 11 flat brush that I did the sky with, and just looking for a base color. So I'm going to do a very light, sort of to the green side of this turquoise color, and I'll adjust color on top of this, but for now I just want to block everything in with this general base color. Okay, so as I smooth this out, I want to make any lines that I have as parallel, or I'm sorry, as horizontal as I possibly can, because when it comes to water, even if it is at an angle like you see here with the shore, I still want my water lines to be horizontally straight so that it doesn't look like the water's running off. And that's very important to get a very realistic and correct look on that. So now I'm just going to add some more titanium white here, and I just want to add some highlights and kind of brighten some stuff up with this. Okay, no cleaning necessary. I'm going to pick up some more Phthalo Blue into this value, and just something about like this, and getting some of that light value in there so it's not so dark. And in the distance, I kind of want to do some darker values to show some changes in the water. If you've ever been anywhere tropical, you'll see some different colorations where the depth changes, and it's just like this vibrant blue that comes out. And then in other places where it's more shallow, it's kind of more light green. So just gives it some realistic look. And so just kind of here and there, just scratching that in, and very little paint on the brush. That's very important, as I want to fade that in and blend it. So now I'm just getting a little bit more blue, just a touch of Phthalo Green, and now just a very teeny bit of raw umber to dull that down just a bit. I want to get some shadow color in there now to show a little bit of ripple and just kind of just some more water effect. So just very light paint on the brush, and using very little pressure with the edge of this flat brush. And as you can see, keeping my lines very horizontal, not angling them. I know it's a temptation to angle water lines with the angle of the shore, but don't give in, because I'm telling you, it will look like your water's running off the canvas instead of looking like it should. So just going to hit this here and there. And of course, anything I don't like, or if something's too thick or out of place, I can just take a value and cover it over, and it's all good. So don't hold back, just go for it. Okay, a little bit more blue, as I want to start putting more of a blue value on top of some of this green here. And in this way, when you put values on top of other ones, they play together because of the transparency with acrylics and how they work like this, and it really makes the color do what it does. And so now with a clean brush, I'm getting some titanium white, and there is just a little bit of that blue and that turquoise color in there, but I want to reflect some of the sheen and the shine on the water from the cloud effect here. And so this is going to kind of show this cloud little reflection here that's kind of shimmering off the water. Okay, so just kind of wherever, and again, don't hold back. This isn't too critical. And again, anything you don't like, just knock it back, and you can always push this stuff around to any degree until you like it. Okay, back to Phthalo Blue, and again, no cleaning necessary. And let's go in and apply some of this blue value again. And I kind of want to skip over this cloud reflection of the white that I did there, as you see. Okay, that kind of runs through there and shows that. So just going for it, and I'm not worried about going through the palm there. I'm going to cover that up when I get to that. So as you can see, everything in the background is ideally what you want to do first, so that you don't end up having to fix mistakes again later when you go into finished stuff. So again, just getting more titanium white with a clean brush, and again, I just want to add some of that shimmer and shine from the clouds that are reflecting here and there. All right, I'm going to take my palette knife now, and I want to make a value here, and I'm going to take some of that yellow medium and some burnt umber into that. and now a good scoop of white. So I'm looking for a light cream sort of beige color here. So just something like this, and I'm going to pick it up and smash it down, and pick it up again and smash it down. As you can see, the colors in there that are still getting mixed, that keeps empty pockets of color that are not mixed from showing up and being a value that you don't want involved in your color by picking it up and smashing it down a few times like that. And so now I'm going again into my number 2 natural flat brush here. I'm just going to load that up. And I like, again, these natural bristles because I'm going to make this thing out of focus by giving fuzzy lines. But for now, I'm just going to look at just blocking in a general value of the trunk for now with this. Okay, I'm going to let that dry, and now I'm going to take some more titanium white into this beige cream color. And I'm going to add to that now a little bit more Cad yellow to warm that up because I want to get it a little bit more vibrant and more saturated, just a little bit more, but not too saturated. So I'm going to add a little bit more white to desaturate that down just a little bit. And right here in this area, let's block in the sand. Okay, so just blocking in stuff there, just letting that kind of be for a minute. I'm going to take some titanium white now and just a little bit of that cream beige color to it. And again, with my number 2 natural flat brush, I'm just going to blend some of that sand into where the water meets and kind of give it this look where the white sand beach kind of goes into the water, as well as giving that fuzzy line for some out of focus effect. Okay, no cleaning. I'm just going to pick up some Phthalo Blue and a little bit of titanium white. So I want to make it look like the water kind of mixes with the sand a little bit and kind of show some of the water coming up on the shore. And again, very light pressure, very little paint on the brush, and just scrubbing it in dry with these natural bristles. Okay, I've added to my palette here some ultramarine blue, and to that I'm going to add a little titanium white to that. So essentially that makes what's called periwinkle, and that is more or less a light lavender type color. And it's just going to give the indication of some shadow and just some things in the sand to give it more realism in this way. So again, very little paint on the brush and a dry natural bristle brush, and just scrubbing in just a couple little lines. And again, if I don't like something because this value is so light, I can take that beige cream color and cover it right back over to any degree. Okay, back to my number 2 nylon beat up flat brush. I'm going to make some stuff on the trunk here and start creating texture and shadow. So I'm going to take some phthalo blue with some raw umber mixed together. Essentially that makes black. And I didn't want to use permanent black because in landscapes I like things to look more natural than just sudden. And I feel like permanent black would be too sudden of a thing. So I like to mix them like this. And now I'm going to turn my canvas for more ergonomic friendly sort of a thing here, so that I can just do this with ease. And I'm just going to go down and just for now, just scrub in this very dark line like so, and I'm gonna make some stuff happen out of this. Okay, I have my number 3 nylon round brush here. This is great for making shapes and triangular things that I'm gonna be doing here. So again, those same values of raw umber and phthalo blue for that black. And I want to pull through as I turn it, and it brings it to a nice tip. And I can use this tip very well. So I'm going to start by kind of getting this, well, let's turn this first. See, again, more ergonomic friendly that way for me. Okay, I'm going to start with more pressure when I start, and then go to the very tip by using very light pressure. And I can make these little triangular little deals here that you see on coconut trees. And I'm not worried about how neat this is or anything. I'm just getting the shapes in, and I can always adjust that with more color. I can push it back and pretty much do what I want with it. But this is the thing with acrylics that I love so much, is that you can do anything and adjust it with anything you want and at any time you want. And there is no such thing as having to live with an accident, thus calling it a happy accident, or anything that you don't want to see you can change. So I'm really just going to go for it and just put these kind of however, and sort of give a slight rounded little look to it, kind of like a sort of an arc of a circle kind of a deal, so it shows its realistic 3D look of being round like it is. So now I'm just going to go in between them like this and just kind of fill those in a little bit and kind of show this dark bark value here kind of taking place more naturally this way. So I know it doesn't look all that neat, but this is going to pan out, so just hang in there and follow along and have fun. Okay, back to my number 2 nylon beat up flat brush here. I'm going to go back into that light cream color here. And I want to add just a teeny bit of Cad Orange and now some raw umber in that to dull that down just a bit. And now let's get some yellow to warm that up and a little bit of white into that. So it's this very light kind of orange brown cream color now. And I want to work some of this value now into the bark to give it more realistic look, and just kind of here and there, but not everywhere. I'm just going to play this in just a little bit. Okay, with most of that color off the brush, now I'm going to go back into some Phthalo Blue and raw umber for that black. Again, same brush, that number 2 nylon beat up brush that I have. And with this, I want to go back in and bring out some more of this dark value and kind of bring this back in and just kind of follow in the same shapes that I did with my nylon number 3 round brush earlier, and just kind of reiterate this kind of bark detail and show these little rings happening here. Okay, with a clean number 2 nylon beat up flat brush, I'm going to take a little titanium white, and it's got just a teeny bit of that cream color that I made there. And right here on the outsides where the sun is hitting it more, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of drag this from the edge into some of this other color that I did. And by doing this, it contrasts between that dark bark stuff and those rings with this lighter value, and this starts to really bring out this 3D sort of round trunk look to it. Okay, going back to my number 2 natural flat brush here with those bristles, I'm going to go on the edge over there on the left of the trunk. I'm going to take some titanium white to it, just a teeny bit of it. And I'm going to use very little paint and of course a dry brush, and again turning my canvas. And as you can see, I'm going to go and scrub the outside of it, and by doing this, this brings about an out of focus bokeh look to the trunk. And somebody had asked me earlier or on another video on one of my bokeh paintings if white was needed to make out of focus, and that all depends. And in this case, yes, white actually does make a difference, and when you fade it off into a fuzzy line with white like this and bring it kind of into the tree like I'm doing, this in fact is what gives it that out of focus look by doing that, because out of focus kind of has this white sort of haze that kind of comes over everything in a way, and that is what gives that out of focus. So as you can see, these natural bristles do such a good job of giving me that fuzzy line, and of course again using that titanium white brings this effect out very well this way. Okay, again loading up more titanium white, and once again I want to go down and do another pass with this white, and in this way it strengthens the effect this way. Okay, now I'm going to go again with that same brush, and I didn't clean because most of the white was off of it, and I'm going to go into that black that I made. And again, my number 2 natural flat brush here, I'm going to go on the right side of the trunk now, and I'm going to do the same thing and do a couple of passes. And as you can see again, just scrubbing that out with a very dry brush, and it gives that fuzzy line and in turn that out of focus look. Alright, switching gears to my number 6 angle brush, I'm going to start mapping out the palms now for the tree, and I'm going to take some of this raw umber and some yellow medium and a little phthalo blue for a dark army green. And with the very tip, I'm just going to start here. I'm going to map one out there and one here. You can make these however. So just kind of something like that, and I'll fill in the upper right corner here with a little something there. Okay, so I'm loading up again, and with the very edge you can see I can push very hard, or not very hard, but harder, and then very light pressure to bring it to a point. And then I can sort of fill it in a little bit more if I want it fatter. So just kind of something like that to start off with, and then just kind of using the tip. So as I load this up, I want to wiggle through, and then on both sides pull through, and then look at that, I can get a very nice sharp edge. And this is going to really help to really get these palms and make these things easy. So just kind of something like this. I'm just hashing in with the very edge of that nice loaded tip there, or edge of the angle brush, and kind of down on this side, how they're coming down, and then on the other side as well, just kind of something like this. So I recommend this angle brush for sure, because with the edge of it like it is, it really helps to make more precision and give you crisper looking palms in this way, and you can control them, because if they do get out of whack, it's going to be really hard to cover that up because they are dark against that light blue and the sky and everything. So you really want to make sure you're doing everything you need to with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take with a clean brush now, and this is back to my number 2 nylon beat up brush. I'm going to take some of that Cad Orange and some titanium white and burnt umber. So it's a very light kind of muted orange color here. Okay, just kind of something like this. And I'm going to go back into the trunk now as I let those leaves dry so that I can add more values on it without the colors mixing into that dark value, and just kind of place some of this orange back into the trunk here, and it gives it more interest this way. Okay, back to my palette knife. I'm going to make a couple values. I'm going to take some of this yellow medium, just a teeny bit of Cad Orange. If you're not careful with this color, it'll take over the whole batch, as you've probably already seen when mixing colors. So just a little bit. I'm looking for a very vibrant sort of orangey color. And again, picking it up a couple times, smashing it down to get all the pockets of color mixed. And now I want to take just a little bit of that color and set it aside, and to that add a little bit of burnt umber to that to dull that down. So something kind of like this. And I have 2 different values, as you can see. One's lighter, one's darker. And I'm going to start, of course, with my dark first with my number 6 angle brush. Okay, loading that up. And I just want to hash in like so. Just some of this color here and there, and just kind of build a base of some of these different colors that are happening on here. Okay, and over here as well, I'll put a little bit of that in. Okay, so with a clean brush now, I'm going to load up this more vibrant orange that I made. And let's put some of that on top of the darker stuff. And so with these values building on one another, as you can see, it just builds up depth and texture and realism of the leaves this way, and just really brings them out in this kind of way. Okay, back to my number 2 beat up nylon flat brush here. I'm going to go back into that vibrant yellow that I made, and just a little bit of titanium white to that. So let's brighten that just a bit for some more highlight. And I'm using this brush because, again, I want to make these leaves out of focus and kind of give those fuzzy lines, and this worn out flat brush really helps to do that, but give me more precision at the same time. Okay, so just filling that stuff in, and now I am back to my number 2 natural flat brush. Now I'm just getting some titanium white, just a little bit on the brush. And again, as you know, with white, I can go on the very outsides here and there and start to create that out of focus effect. Okay, going into some Phthalo Blue now. And let's get a little titanium white to get that light blue sky color. And just a little bit of paint on the brush. Again, this is my number 2 natural flat brush. And with those natural bristles, let's go in, and I want to kind of work some of that over the leaves. Because as you know, also in the bokeh world, to give that out of focus look, it has a little bit of fade into other things. So let's get some more of that vibrant yellow now on the same brush. And again, I just want to sort of add some more color back into the center without going to the edges. Okay, again, a little bit of phthalo blue and some more titanium white. And of course a clean brush so I don't mix the yellow into that and create more green. So again, that blue color, and let's just kind of fade over and sort of lightly dust over some of those leaves. You can see it kind of brings that out of focus look to them. Okay, going into that dark army green again, that yellow, that raw umber, some phthalo blue, and a little bit more raw umber to darken that. And again, with my natural flat brush, I want to go and scratch in some more shadow, just kind of show some more depth in this. And of course, not cover all that color up, but just add a little bit into it. Okay, so now I'm going to go on the coconut now. I have my 3/4 angle brush here, and that's going to give me some very crisp lines, and that's going to contrast against the out of focus stuff that I just did. So a little bit of burnt umber and some of that yellow medium, and with my palette knife just mixing some of that up with some titanium white now to that. And I'm looking for, again, a very light kind of dull sort of cream beige color. And this is going to be for the inside of the coconut, as it's going to be more in the shadow, of course, since it is inside of it. And a little bit more of this burnt umber to it to dull that yellow back a little bit more. Okay, picking it up and smashing it down again, getting all the color mixed. And now let's get a good scoop of white into there to desaturate that down a little bit further. So I'm looking for something kind of like this value here. I want it a little bit different than the tree trunk value, and of course if it's not different I can always adjust it and go back on top and mix it a little differently. Okay, so loading up my 3/4 angle brush, and I'm going to start filling in the center with this. Okay, with a clean 3/4 angle brush, I'm going to go into just titanium white now. And let's go on the outside, and I can also cover up all of the ocean spill that came into it. All good there, and white is very opaque, so it covers over very easily. With just a couple of coats, I'll make all of that disappear and bring the coconut in the foreground like it should be with the ocean pushback, and I'll just fill in everything around with this. Okay, with a clean brush again, I'm just going to take straight raw umber now. And with my 3/4 angle brush, again, with that nice crisp edge and that sharp point on it, it gives me very crisp, detailed lines to be able to contrast with the out of focus background. Okay, as you can see here, and I'm just going to go around a very nice little border that shows the outside, or actually the coconut shell here as it comes up to the white coconut there. And again, turning my canvas and just doing what I have to do and using the very tip and the edge, you can see here, very precisely, and just getting that line intact. Okay, no cleaning. I'm going to take some Cad Orange now, along with that raw umber. So it's still a dark value, but it's a little subtle difference. And this is so that I don't lose my border. And as you can see, it's slightly different and allows me to know where to bring this up. And that way I know when I do the details on the husk and all that, I can save that border, and it's all good because I can just put it back if need be. So just filling in that right there. And then again, without cleaning, I'm just taking some more raw umber. As you can see, it's a little different than the orange mixture. And let's fill in the shadow area where the husk is going to be, that the coconut's going to be sitting on here. And again, this is just base color for now. Okay, letting that dry for just a sec. I'm going to go into my raw umber and phthalo blue for that black mixture with my number 2 beat up flat brush here. And let's see, I'm going to do a little bit of a shadow here with the palms, or actually with the palm tree. Just kind of right under the trunk like so. Just kind of settles that down into the sand more naturally this way. And then just a little bit of paint left on the brush. Just kind of want to strike a little shadow kind of thing happening right here. Alrighty, back to my 3/4 angle brush. I'm going to take now just some Cad Orange into some burnt umber here. And a little bit of yellow to warm that up just a bit. So something like this. I'm just going to take the edge, and I'm not really worried about how neat. I'm just going to hash in some stuff like this. And this is the start of building up some of that texture. And of course, I don't want to cover up all that dark value, but I want to leave some for some shadow. And in this way, when these values start to play with each other, and I build it up, it's going to really bring out this realistic looking husk and all of its glory and splendor this way. So now I'm going to take some titanium white into that orangey mixture. Okay, a little bit different value to desaturate that down, and let's play this on top of everything and just really go for it. If you don't like something, you can take the dark value, knock it back, or thin a line with that dark value if it's too thick. So really just go for it. And if your angle's wrong, if it's not flowing right, just cover it up all together. You can start again. So have some fun, experiment, throw some values in with other values, and always remember, here and there but not everywhere, where you don't take over with any one value but let the other ones play together. So again, just getting more of this yellow medium with some of that Cad Orange and burnt umber mixture with some white. And let's go to our husk pile here, and same thing, just going with these irregular curvy little swirly lines, and anything you want to do, just kind of go for it, and it just will work out. Okay, leaving some of that husk alone and cleaning my brush, I'm going to go back into titanium white now that this is dried. And I want to go another coat so that I can cover up all of the ocean spill that came onto this. And like I said, a couple of coats and I can cover pretty much anything with white since it is so opaque. And just want to make this more full and bring out some more of its pop, and of course make it look more full this way. Okay, so cleaning it again, I'm going back into that black, that's the raw umber and phthalo blue, and now I want to get some titanium white to gray that a little bit and bring it up. And just a little bit of paint on the brush, and I want to start hashing in some of these little irregular places where when the coconut gets broken up, or I'm sorry, broke apart, it has all of these irregular sort of broken pieces on the rim like this, and these are really just shadows that show little steps and jagged, little edges here and there. So I'm not worried about how neat it is. I'm just getting things where they go, and I'll start working with this as I lay it down. Okay, back to my number 2 beat up nylon flat brush. I'm going to go with that same color of that gray that I made here, and just kind of go in here with some more shading. So I like this brush because I can also shade with it, and I can get more realistic shadow play where these broken pieces are, where it broke apart, and gave all these jagged edges, and in this way it shows more of a realistic looking texture to the coconut this way. So again, just kind of put it in there and it's all good. Don't worry about how neat it is. Acrylics, it's all about building up the layers and knocking it back and all that good stuff. So right underneath where the white meets that beige, I was just kind of putting a little dark shadow there, just a little bit, to show that shadow starts to happen as it gets up to the rim a little bit and disappears down into the coconut to change, to show its depth and 3D realism in that way. Kind of how the light's hitting the outside, but the inside, of course, is hidden more from the light. Okay, so now with a clean brush, I'm going into some of this beige color here that I did the coconut on the inside with some of that gray that I made, and a little darker value. And I want to start creating these little things in here where it shows the texture of the coconut and how it has kind of these cracks and little pieces inside. And again, just getting things where they go, and I'll start working with this as I lay it down. Okay, no cleaning. I'm just going to take a little bit more of that beige and some titanium white into it now to lighten that. So this is a lighter color now, and just a little bit of paint on the brush. I just kind of want to glaze over some of these dark values that I put in here. And as I do this, you'll notice here it sort of fades it into the coconut and makes it more natural looking, so that it doesn't look like lines are drawn on the coconut inside, but it looks like the coconut has crevices and is part of it instead of something on it, if that makes sense. So this is a way of what I call settling them down and making them more natural, as they look like they're part of the inside of it like this. So just going to go back and forth and build this up, and each time another layer means smoother, more effect, and more realistic and natural looking. So in the same way, I'm going to go on here again, and I'm going to take some of that dark shadow, and as you can see, just kind of giving this little shadow play as it goes inside from the outside of the coconut this way. Okay, cleaning my brush, and I took some more titanium white, and in the same way with these crevices and shadows on the outside of the coconut, I'm going to hit some of this and again settle some of that shadow down, and it gives it more of a natural look this way. Okay, and with some more titanium white right here, I'm going to show some light that's directly hitting the inside, just kind of striking like that. Okay, and again, with that white left on my brush, I'm just going to sort of hit some of this here and there, kind of show some light play, kind of sneaking around a little bit in there. Okay, very here and there, but not everywhere. Okay, back to my number 3 nylon round brush. I'm going to take that dark color again of the blue and the raw umber, pulling through. As I turn it, it brings it to a nice point. Okay, just kind of something like that. And I want to be very precise and specific now with these darker shadows. And as you'll notice, I'm just going to hit them very here and there, but not everywhere. And not all of them are going to get this dark, fine line like this. And of course, I'm not going to cover anything up with this dark value with that shaded stuff that I did. Okay, and even right in here to show some crevice. Okay, and again, that just adds more detail and really brings out its realism more this way. Okay, I've cleaned the brush off and just taken titanium white now and just being very specific with white. And again, settling down some of those crevice shadows. And again, as I work these details back and forth again with acrylics, more layers means smoother and more realistic, and all of its depth and dimension and all of that becoming better each time. So just playing them back and forth, pushing them back, putting back on, and again. So now with more titanium white, again in this area where the light really snuck in and is very bright right here, you just kind of striking that. Now I have my, my script liner brush, that's right, and I'm going to go now to some white and a little bit of burnt umber to that Cad Orange. Lots of water on a script liner brush, very important. And as I pull it through again, I want to turn it as I load it, and it really loads the bristles as I pull and turn, and also brings it to a nice sharp point. And I want to get more fine detailed lines for the hair husks here that you'll find on coconuts here. So I'm just going to go and, again, just here and there, but not everywhere, and just kind of throw them in, and also in the pile as well. Okay, no cleaning. I'm going to go into that black that I made now. Same thing, lots of water, pulling it through to a point. And again, with my script liner in the very tip, I'm just going to whip some of these wispy little things and show some of the ones that the light isn't hitting. And in this way, it gives it more dimension by showing some of them turned away from the light and some of them that are in the direct light in this kind of a way. And again, I'll work some of that into the coconut shell and knock some of that back just a little bit, just however. Okay, again into that black mixture and with that script liner brush. And I'm just going to put a few on the right side up in the upper area there. See, that just kind of puts a little hairs up into that. Okay, back to my number 2 beat up flat brush, and with that black again, I'm just going to go in there and kind of create a little bit more shadow where the bottom of the coconut is like this, and work some of that dark shadow into some of the shell as well. And also I'm going to reestablish this border that goes around and really brings out its definition this way. Okay, and again with that number 2 beat up flat brush, I'm going to again take some of that black and work some of that into the shell. And that really just brings in some shadow and gives it more dimension and depth this way. Okay, back to my script liner brush and with some of that light orangey color. And again with the very tip with lots of water, just making some little fine little detailed hairs. Now that I have all of the layers and other stuff that is already there that I can build on top of. Okay, so just a few here and there, and however you want to do it, and it's all good. Alrighty, with my script liner brush now, lots of water in that black that I made, I'm going to go ahead and sign this piece right here. And I want to thank you so much for your support and following along. Don't forget to subscribe if you dig my video lessons, and let me hear your questions or comments down below. I'd love to hear from you, and any questions you have, I'll do my very best to answer anything. And with that said, I want to wish you well, and until next time, happy painting to you.